morning, everyone, and welcome to the online service of Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, a loving, spirited, and inclusive congregation in Port Townsend, Washington. My name is Heidi Mattern, and I'm your worship assistant today. In a moment, we will be lighting the chalice, and you're invited to light a candle in your home as well. But first, let us settle our minds and still our hearts with the ringing of our chime. It is good to be together. Let us now join voices for our call to community. This song may be familiar to many of you. Katy Taylor and I recorded it a couple of months ago. It's called Loosen, Loosen. And as you're singing along with us, you may want to relax your body and move to the song.
Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? Loosen, loosen, baby, and you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby, and you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go.
Loosen, loosen, baby, and you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby, and you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? Thank you for singing along, everyone. It is now time for our chalice lighting ritual. Please join me in our chalice lighting words written by our minister, Kate Lohr. For the new year, just days old, we light our chalice, symbol of our faith, perseverance, and the hope that better days are on their way. Our opening words this morning are by Rumi. Today, like every other day, we wake up empty and frightened. Don't open the door to the study and begin reading. Take down a musical instrument. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. I now welcome Beau Ohlgren, our Director of Family Ministry, for a story for all ages.
Good morning, everyone, and happy 2021. As we explore today how we come home to our bodies, as well as we reflect on this last year of being home so much of the time, I wanted to share this story by Vern Kuski called The Blue Songbird, and how one bird found her own voice and found her own comfort in her home. Once there lived a blue songbird. Every morning she would wake up, hop to the edge of a high branch, and listen to her sister's lovely songs. The songbird always wanted to join in, but she didn't know what to sing. "It seems there are no songs for me," said the songbird to her mother. "My dearest one," she replied, "not just any notes will do. You must go and find a special song that only you can sing." So the songbird left her mother, left her nest and all she knew, and flew off to find her song. When she reached a far-off land, she saw a giant bird, unlike any she'd ever seen before. And the songbird chirped, "Excuse me, long-necked bird, in your travels, have you heard of a song that only I can sing?" The birds stretched their slender neck down low to where the songbird stood. "My name is Crane," whooped the bird, "and I'm sorry that I can't help you. But if someone does know where to find the answer, I think it can be found past those mountains." The songbird kindly thanked the crane and then flew off to continue her quest. She soared over mountain peaks and dove down into a deep valley until she reached a dark pine forest. Here she found a bird who looked old and very wise. "Hello, Mr. Wise Bird. Have you heard a song that only I can sing?" "I am Owl," hooted the bird. "Who are you looking for?" "I'm searching for a song." The owl cocked his head and only hooted, "Who? Who?" "This is not an answer after all," thought the songbird, and still she thanked him kindly and then flew off once more. The songbird crossed rivers and valleys, cities and oceans, and all along the way she always asked where she might find her song. No bird ever had an answer. One windy winter day, she met a bird who looked a little bit mean and more than a little bit hungry, but bravely asked if they had heard a song that only she could sing. "Call me Crow," cawed the bird, "and I have heard of such a thing. Across the ocean there's an island, golden as the sun and filled with the most enchanting music. There you will find the song you seek." The songbird kissed the clever crow and then set out to cross the sea. She flew through storm and wind, through night and day until she was more tired than she had ever been. But the songbird did not rest, for she knew that soon she'd find her special song. Then she saw the island, glowing like a jewel on the horizon. In the distance, she could hear the sound of beautiful music. She swooped down, faster and faster, following the sound until she found, after all this time, she was home. The songbird's heart fell. She had circled the whole world, spoken to every bird there was, but her quest had failed. Then she saw her mother, and her disappointment disappeared. She had so many stories to tell, but when the songbird opened her beak to tell them, what came out was not words at all, but a song. She sang a song of crane and owl and of the clever crow, of cities and of stormy seas and mountains capped with snow, all of the warm and sunny days and the chilly nights alone, and of the love the songbird felt for her family and her home. Sometimes we don't have to go far to find what is in us all along, and we can always appreciate the unique stories and perspectives each one of us has to share.
Thank you, Beau. What I'd like to do now is acknowledge and welcome those of you who are visiting us this morning. We'd love to meet you and get to know you better. So if you feel comfortable, please share your name and where you're from in the comments section. We'd love to hear from you. We also hope you'll join us after this service for our virtual coffee hour. The Zoom link for it will be posted in the comments section at the end of the service. And if you can't currently see the comments, all you need to do is take your device out of full screen mode and they will be visible. And lastly, if you find this service useful or inspirational, hopefully both, please share the link with your friends and family. So welcome, everyone. We're glad you're with us today. It is now time for the offering. Today is our Hope Offering, which stands for Helping Our People Eat. All the funds collected today will go to our local food banks. If you'd like to donate today, you have 3 options. Text the amount you'd like to give to the number now showing at the bottom of the screen. Go to our website, quf.org, and click on the giving link, or simply mail a check to QUUF. Just remember to put the name of the organization in the memo line. We will now gratefully receive your offering as we listen to Shelley Brown play To a Wild Rose by Edward MacDowell.
Thank you, Shelley. It was lovely. Good morning, all. I'm Colleen Johnson. I'm president of the Board of Trustees, and I'm here with an update to the announcement that I made last week about the special meeting that the board has called for January 10th at 1 o'clock. That's next Sunday. Okay. But the update is that it's very important for us to have a quorum at the meeting. We have issues to vote on. We will be voting on a bylaws revision. We will be voting on a mission statement. We will also get the information about the budget revision for the second half of this fiscal year. But we had new members join, and as a result, our membership is now 434 members, and we're required to have 25% as a quorum. Now that's 108.5 people, so I think we'll round up to 109 people. I don't anticipate having a problem reaching our quorum. There were 180 people at the June annual meeting, so I hope to see you all there. You will have received information in the weekly update, and you'll get an email with the link for this meeting on January 6th. And so all the information that you need in order to make a knowledgeable vote will be provided to you. But there's one more thing about the quorum. If you have multiple members in your household, and if you can log on, if it's possible for you to log on separate devices, then that makes sure that we have an accurate count for the quorum. Okay. Thank you.
I will now share our joys and sorrows, recognizing that our personal joys and sorrows are only a fragment of the joys and sorrows of the larger community of life. And thus, we place this first stone thinking in particular of those who are breathing a sigh of relief that the year 2020 is now behind us. May this new year bring more unity, more compassion, and when it's safe, more hugs. And now, within the congregation, I have a couple of anniversaries to celebrate today. This first candle is in honor of Phyllis and Ivor Dolph, who celebrated their 61st wedding anniversary this past Monday. Happy anniversary, Phyllis and Ivor. 61 years is an exceptionally long time to know and love someone, so congratulations on reaching this magnificent milestone. This second candle is for Elaine and Gary Nelson, who celebrated their 44th wedding anniversary on Tuesday with a takeout dinner from Ichikawa's Sushi Bar, which they enjoyed at home by candlelight and a full moon. And today is Jess Schumacher's birthday. So we light a candle of joy in your honor, Jess, and wish you a very happy birthday. We hope you and Jim are having a great day together. And Jess asks that we also light a candle of joy over the successful art installation featuring the work of her son, Christian Breivik. COVID-19 air travel restrictions prevented Christian from coming out from Vermont to do the installation himself. So Jess and Jim joyously installed 40 of his whale and salmon sculptures at a gorgeous glass seaport building in the Tacoma Waterway. Congratulations, Christian, Jess, and Jim. May all who visit these sculptures experience Christian's light in the world. And now we place a final stone, holding in our hearts the joys and sorrows I've just shared, but also thinking of such joys and sorrows among us that are unexpressed, but of no less importance. I invite you now into a moment of silence, which will be followed by a musical response. It is my pleasure to welcome our guest minister, Reverend Dr. Aly Melcher, a familiar face to many of us and a good friend of Kate's. Aly Melcher is a Unitarian Universalist accredited interim minister who has served as interim minister with congregations in Vermont, Connecticut, and Washington. She now serves in a part-time contract ministry position with the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Whidbey Island. She is a graduate of Claremont School of Theology's Doctor of Ministry program in spiritual renewal, contemplative practice, and strategic leadership. In addition to practicing ministry, Aly is an accomplished singer and songwriter. Her sermon format will be a little different today. Aly split it into 3 parts, each one having a reading, a song, and a reflection, each one taking us deeper into a very tender topic. Please join me in welcoming Reverend Dr. Aly Melcher. Our first reading is from Joseph Campbell. Years ago, television journalist Bill Moyers was interviewing Joseph Campbell. And Joseph recalled one of his favorite stories. He was in Japan for an international conference on religion, and Joseph Campbell overheard another American delegate, a social philosopher from New York, say to a Shinto priest, "We have been now to a good many ceremonies and have seen quite a few of your shrines, but I don't get your ideology. I don't get your theology." The Japanese priest paused, as though deep in thought, and then slowly shook his head. "I think we don't have ideology," he said. "We don't have theology. We have dance."
Once when I sang, a little girl got up to dance, lost in her limbs, deeper and deeper in trance. Slowly the world disappeared, till her twirling was all I could see. And as she danced, I sang, and in that one holy moment, she was free. Nothing to measure, nothing to win, only the pleasure of feeling the kiss of the sun on her skin. And as the world disappeared, her twirling was all I could see. And so I sang for her, and she danced, and in that one holy moment, we were free. Nothing to cling to, nothing to lose. There with the breath of creation, our light-footed partner and muse. Suddenly time fell away, till forever was all we could feel. And so I sang, and she danced, and in that one holy moment, we were real. Nothing to bind us to future or past. One timeless moment was ours, when memories and dreams were surpassed. And then the world reappeared, and she turned and she ran off to play. And with her gone, I sang on, grateful for one holy moment, holy day. The experience of embodiment, of being fully present in our bodies, is always integrative. For the little girl in that dance and for me singing, there was an experience of timelessness, which may be the closest thing we ever get to experiencing eternity. That young dancer happened to have been adopted from a Russian orphanage at about the age of 4. This was maybe a year into her living in the United States with her adoptive family. She was nonverbal, but her body knew exactly how to be itself and how to express itself. There was no performance in her dance, just a spontaneous, embodied response to the music, and perhaps to whatever else was going on inside of her. How long has it been since you had that sort of experience? And can you conjure it from memory, from your physical body memory? Certainly we've all witnessed it, even if we haven't all experienced it ourselves, in the ways that some children move before they're taught how they should move. And who teaches us how we should move? Well, our families to begin with, but also our cultures. I remember a young person who sang in the children's choir at a largely white congregation I served. This child experienced and embodied the music in her whole body, not just with her breath and voice, and I found it moving to actually see the music in her body, in addition to hearing it, and was dismayed to hear the choir director urging her to stand still while singing, to restrain her body rather than letting it and letting all of her embody the music. And what about the children who learn best when they're in motion, but are expected to sit still in school? Is it not possible that some complex equations and thorny problems work themselves out not in the mind alone, but through the body when the body is in motion? And OMG. As a teenager, I was required to attend a weekly 3-hour meeting of a club for young women, which most likely meant young white women, though I don't remember for sure. That club had the express goal of teaching young women to be able club women and better citizens. And some of what we did there, like learning parliamentary procedure, actually supported those goals. But one section of our meetings focused instead on how we moved our bodies, how to step into a car in a ladylike fashion, seating ourselves first and then with our knees together, swinging our feet onto the floor in front of our seats. How to sit with our knees always together, just so, and to tuck our feet, ankles neatly crossed beneath us, our hands resting in our laps, palms up like this, one inside another, as if young women had no need of strong and fast legs and feet to carry them toward their goals or away from the roving hands of men. As if we never needed our hands to express ourselves, to create, or to push away unwanted advances to the sexuality we were taught to so carefully hide. by so-called appropriate postures and behaviors, as if our sexuality, our very wombs, were not the locus of life itself. Did you happen to see the halftime show at Super Bowl 2020 with Shakira and Jennifer Lopez dancing? I'm not at all interested in football, so I missed it. But afterwards, I read that many white people had found it offensive. So naturally, I had to watch it. And I read commentary on it by white people and by people of color. And I came away with this. White culture teaches white people to cover and subdue our bodies, to master them, and to downplay our sexuality. And it teaches that this is normative, the proper way to be. Many other cultures celebrate the body, revel in it, welcome its full expression, including sexual expression. For Jennifer Lopez, J-Lo, and Shakira, their halftime show was an embodiment of their cultures and a celebration of bodies, of their bodies. Would that we could all find such freedom.
Our next reading is from the memoir Exile and Pride by Aly Halpert. In this memoir, which covers disability, queerness, and liberation, Aly Halpert writes, "Home starts here, in my body, in all that lies embedded beneath my skin. The body as home, but only if it is understood that bodies are never singular, but rather haunted, strengthened, and underscored by countless other bodies. The body as home, but only if understood that place and community and culture burrow deep into our bones. The body as home, but only if it is understood that language, too, lives under the skin. The body as home, but only if it is understood that bodies can be stolen. Bodies can be fed lies, fed poison, torn away from us. The body as home, but only if it is understood that the stolen body can be reclaimed.
If you're not there when I need you, a part of me lays down and dies. But if you are gentle and loving with me, you may help something strong in me rise. You may help something strong in me rise. And if I felt sad when they hurt me, disappointed when they let me down, well, I might have known it, but I would not have shown it, 'cause a smile was required to keep them around. And so I smiled through the fear when they hit me or battered each other in rage. My knuckles went white and my jaw was clenched tight, round a fear that I dared not engage, and I grew hard to soften the blow. Thought I could cushion the fall. When the pain was too great, I hid and I ate, or I slammed my soft body hard at the wall, or pounded my fists on my head to silence the voices that wished I were dead. For many years self-righteous indignation was the weapon that I wielded to defend myself from fear, like a porcupine begging for attention, while making certain no one could get near. Now I long to lay my armor down and weep, but my mind's a restless warrior, still looking for the danger, and I'm not at rest, not even when I sleep. It's a very old habit I'm trying to break, this killing what rises within me. But I know it's my own precious life that's at stake, and if I don't kill me, I'll win me. If I don't kill me, I'll win me. So if I can be there when I need me, to witness my own inner cries, if I can be gentle and loving with me, I may help something strong in me rise. I may help something strong in me rise. I may help something strong in me, strength that belongs in me, help something strong in me rise. I may help something strong in me rise. Thank you. The body remembers. The body remembers so many things, and some of them are lovely. Each time there's an onshore breeze and I step out onto our deck, I am transported to the deck of my grandmother's trailer in Southern California, which was located just about the same distance from the Pacific Ocean as Puget Sound is from our house. My body remembers this. And someone who was raised in an industrial area spoke recently of the way the sound of the gravel pit near her current home on Whidbey Island reminds her of the sounds of her childhood home. Her body remembers. But of course, it's not only pleasant things the body remembers. It's also pain and trauma. PTSD is well known, of course, and wreaks havoc in many lives. And adverse childhood events seem to contribute to many illnesses. And the field of epigenetics suggests that what people of color have the field of epigenetics suggests what people of color have long intuited. That the physiological effects of trauma, the effects on the body of trauma, can be passed down through generations of bodies. In his recent memoir titled My Grandmother's Hands, psychologist and author Resmaa Menakem explores how racial trauma affects generations of bodies, including white bodies, and suggests that healing must come through the body rather than simply through the mind. Our bodies remember. Author Eli Clare, a trans man who lives with disability. Clare survived childhood emotional and sexual abuse at a level that he names torture, in a community and culture that did not allow them the expression of their gender identity or sexual orientation. For someone with those experiences, any one of those experiences, the relationship to the body can be extraordinarily complex and often fraught. Clare writes about the striving to be what he refers to as a super crip, short for super cripple, meaning a person with a disability who pushes past the apparent limitations of their body. He describes how when people with disabilities do perfectly ordinary things, such as dating, the surprise and kudos from temporarily able-bodied people around them make it clear that those temporarily able-bodied people see them first and foremost as disabled and only secondarily as human. I've recently watched a TV series called Pose about the lives of Black and brown, gay and trans women during the AIDS crisis and the culture they developed to affirm and celebrate their humanity, their bodies, and their love in all of its forms, in the midst of a wider culture that used and abused them. It gave me a glimpse into a world I know very little or even nothing about. What does it mean for a young gay Black man to be slapped, verbally abused, and literally thrown out of his parents' home because he loves to dance? How and where does a young person in that situation come home to their body? Watch the series if you can. It's called Pose, P-O-S-E. It's quite moving. It's also quite hopeful in that it shares the resilience of people who might lay down and die, but decide instead to develop among and within their community exactly what they need to do the best they can do and to thrive. And what might it mean for each of you to come home to your bodies? What loss or grief or trauma does your body carry from your own life or from generations of your people? What would it be like to let your body lead you into and through that, and right into freedom and joy? Not once and for all. The spiritual journey isn't a once and for all, but time and time again, creating new body memories that set you free.
Our final reading today comes from the book Sweat Your Prayers by Gabrielle Roth. Many of you may be familiar with her work. She was a theater director, a dance teacher, a recording artist, and she intuited that 5 rhythms underlie all of life. She developed this intuition into a movement practice to liberate the soul. This practice has been shared and taught across much of the Western world. And these excerpts are from her book, again called Sweat Your Prayers. Think of your body as a begging bowl for spirit. When spirit is removed from the body, it is no longer inspired. And since spirit is the catalyst that keeps all things moving, the body without it falls into a deep state of inertia. Emotions no longer move fluidly, neither do thoughts or muscles. Everything is constipated. In this space of stuck, nothing flows together or moves in harmony. The body feels separate from the heart from the mind, and the mind from the body. Indeed, you often think one thing, feel another, and do a third, living in a state of perpetual contradiction. No wonder we're confused. No wonder we're in pain. Our soul is homeless. We can retrieve our souls through our bodies, not in spite of our bodies or instead of our bodies, but through this very flesh that defines our presence on this plane of reality. Gabriel Roth continues, "Mine is a dancing path. My Bible is the body, because the body can't lie. My master is rhythm. There is no dogma in the dance. When you let your body dance, you immediately strip away the lies and the dogma until all you're left with is the spirit of life itself. Movement is medicine, and I trust that if you put the psyche in motion, it will heal itself."
One Saturday night I was dancing alone in a room full of people, a dance of my own. I got out of a taxi the very next day, and a radiant woman came walking my way, and she said, "Last night I danced with you. You didn't see me, but I danced with you. In your bright tie-dyed shirt and incredible pace, you were dancing and twirling all over the place. And your eyes, they were closed. I saw God in your face, and your bliss drew me to you. The joy that shone through you, your bliss drew me to you. Your ecstasy, your eyes, they were closed. I saw God in your face, and your bliss drew me to you. The joy that shone through you, your bliss drew me to you. Your ecstasy." When I called you weeks later, choking back tears, the bliss was long gone, consumed by my fears. And you said, "Don't talk around what you're feeling inside. I'm listening, Emmy, you don't need to hide." And I heard what you said, and my heart opened wide. And I took what you offered, and I cried and I cried. I wept with a sadness for too long denied, 'cause your warmth drew me to you, the love that shone through you. Your warmth drew me to you, Bonnie. I wept with a sadness for too long denied, 'cause your warmth drew me to you, the love that shone through you, your warmth drew me to you, Bonnie. Now I'm thinking of you and the sadness you feel. You're going through changes and trying to heal, and I'd love to give back what you've given to me. A comforting presence, peppermint tea, or a song or a dance for the sadness you feel. If you let it flow through you, the dance can renew you and bring you back home to yourself. For when sadness flows through us, the bliss can come to us and bring us back home to ourselves. We'll let sadness flow through us so bliss can renew us and bring us back home to ourselves. It will bring us back home to ourselves. "25 years or so ago, I found in Gabrielle Roth's 5 Rhythms a way to come home to my body. A body that had been trained to do a lot of things, from sitting properly as a child to knowing how to play to an audience when I performed, which I began doing at the age of 7. A body that had sometimes been a beloved and revered temple of my soul, and other times an object of abuse, shame, and self-loathing. Coming home to my body meant that there was finally room for all of who I am, the grief and the loss, the joy and the wonder. It wasn't as simple as showing up occasionally. After all, a spiritual practice is a practice, not an achievement. And neither dancing nor my other spiritual practices have prevented me from experiencing illness, as you well know. But they have helped me to heal, emotionally, spiritually, and to the extent possible, physically, through depression, through the debilitating pain of psoriatic arthritis, and in recent weeks, through the emotions that accompanied my diagnosis of endometrial cancer and the loss of my womb, that generative, life-giving center of my body and my creativity, from the surgery that removed both my womb and the cancer. Among other things, my spouse and I created a ritual where each of us took turns naming what we felt we were losing, and then exploring and releasing the difficult emotions that had found a home in that cancer in my uterus, and to name the longings and commitments we wished to carry forward after the surgery. In that way, even in its removal, even in its loss, my womb was life-giving. I could have done it differently. I could have repressed the grief and the loss, since after all I am well past childbearing, and I knew going into the surgery that the likely outcome was that all the cancer would be removed surgically. And indeed, that's what happened. I could have treated this like a minor inconvenience, just something to get done, but I knew I knew that there was more bound up in that tumor and in the loss of my womb. I knew that my body was leading me into a place I needed to go for my own healing. And that is one of the really important things about spiritual practices. They help us to stop abandoning ourselves, whatever comes. At the same time, they strip us of our illusions that we are in charge, in control, and help us to find peace in being attentive to what is. Certainly, they don't always lead to bliss, not in the short run and not in the end. Indeed, sometimes I can't find my rhythm or my song despite showing up, and oftentimes I can't be bothered to show up at all. But because of that experience, now 20 to 25 years old, of following my body into the dance pretty regularly for a period of 5 or 6 years, my body remembers that and knows itself at home. Your ways may well be different, but it is my wish that each of us might find our way home to our own bodies. Amen.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Thank you, Emily. We greatly appreciate your gifts of word and song. It's just about time to extinguish our chalice, but before doing so, I want to remind you that next week our guest minister will be Reverend James Ishmael Ford. Reverend Ford is both a highly esteemed Unitarian Universalist minister and also a Zen Buddhist priest. His sermon, entitled "A Zen Priest," reflects on the birth of God, and I hope you can join us for that. And now, please join me in reciting our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish our flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, or the power of transformation. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. After the service, I hope you'll join us for our virtual coffee hour. What you can expect is to be placed in a Zoom room with one of our coffee hour hosts who will facilitate personal check-ins, as well as reflection questions on the sermon topic. I hope to see you there. But first, let us turn our attention to Shelley Brown, who will now play our postlude.